Was it a performance, a protest, or the quiet ignition of a cultural revolution? Whatever it was, the moment Jungkook took the stage at the 2025 Melon Music Awards, something shifted in the air. And not just inside the arena. Across living rooms, phone screens, and packed cafes throughout South Korea and beyond, millions of viewers leaned forward, sensing instinctively that what they were witnessing wasn't just another televised award acceptance. It was the start of something else, something unnameable yet unforgettable. The tension had been building. Rumors swirled weeks in advance about a special appearance, a legacy spotlight, an unannounced guest. But no one expected Jungkook. Now with BTS on partial hiatus and with most of the group focusing on solo work and personal growth. When his name appeared on screen, gasps spread like wildfire. No dramatic entrance, no background dancers, just Jungkook walking out in a sleek black suit, his hair slightly tousled, and a calm in his stride that unnerved even the most seasoned of fans. Silence fell the moment he reached the mic. There was applause, of course. How could there not be? But even that faded quickly. What happened next wasn't just heard, it was felt. He didn't thank producers, he didn't gush over achievements. He looked straight into the camera, held the mic with both hands like a sacred relic, and asked the question that now loops endlessly on social media. What does it mean to win if nothing changes? That line landed like thunder. For a full 3 seconds, no one moved. Then came the murmurs, then the screams. Fans started to cry. Reporters began writing before he even stepped down. No teleprompter guided him. No script held him back. What unfolded was raw, vulnerable, a live confession and manifesto all in one breath. He spoke of pressure, of praise, of the loneliness that often follows the spotlight. He spoke of artistry being lost to metrics, of value reduced to numbers. And then he did the unimaginable. He declined the award he was there to present. Not reject, not disrespect. Declined. Instead, he called forth a young, unknown artist, trembling in shock, and handed the mic to her. "You need this more than I do, and the world needs to hear you," he said. It was theater, yes, but it was real. It was generous. It was game-changing. Suddenly, the entire idea of winning felt too small. In those minutes, Jungkook wasn't just an idol. He was a mirror, reflecting the very questions K-pop's industry has dodged for decades. What are we rewarding? Fame, followers, or fearless artistry? What happens when someone so deeply entrenched in the machine dares to challenge the shape of its gears? Online, the aftermath was immediate. Fan cams exploded across platforms. Edits of his words hit 10 million views within hours. Global artists began quoting him in acceptance speeches of their own, while trending hashtags flipped from album promotions to full-blown cultural commentary. Words like integrity, vision, and sacrifice reappeared in music journalism, long-forgotten concepts in a world ruled by virality and visuals. But not everyone cheered. Industry insiders whispered of controversy. Was it a calculated stunt? Was HYB involved? Was it a rebuke of corporate control or a clever pivot to a new brand identity? The debate raged on, fueled by silence from both Jungkook and his team. No interviews, no clarifications, just a single image posted to his Instagram. The stage, empty, with the caption, "What now?" And that's the question hanging over the heads of everyone touched by that night. What now for award shows that once relied on predictable programming? What now for artists afraid to speak out? What now for fans who now see their idols not just as stars but as humans, trying to hold on to meaning in a world obsessed with spectacle? Some have called it the Jungkook Reformation. Others say it's just a flash in the pan. But history will remember how the quietest voice in the room said the loudest thing, how one man in a tailored black suit stood under glittering lights and refused to bask in them, how he handed glory to someone unknown and in doing so claimed a different kind of immortality. In the days that followed, institutions scrambled. Award show committees met in private. Brands began rethinking their partnerships. Streaming platforms rushed to feature deeper, message-driven content. And amidst it all, Jungkook remained unseen, his presence echoing louder in absence. Perhaps that's the final twist. He didn't need to dominate the headlines for weeks. He only needed 10 minutes. 10 minutes that will now be replayed, analyzed, mimicked, studied. Because in those 10 minutes, he didn't just reject an award, he rewrote the very rules of recognition. And so, the question remains, will the world of K-pop, built on perfection and polish, evolve to match the raw power of what Jungkook dared to show? Or will it return to the glitter and gloss, pretending nothing happened? One thing is certain. That night, the world stopped to listen, and the silence that followed his final words, "Let legacy speak louder than legacy awards," may echo longer than any encore. Let us pick up from where the silence left us, in a moment of suspension that neither time nor trend could break. As the world grappled with Jungkook's chilling mic drop, an invisible fault line seemed to fracture beneath the polished surface of the K-pop industry. What had always been predictable, programmed, and pristine suddenly felt vulnerable, unstable, as if the foundations of idol culture had been subtly questioned by one of its brightest stars. In the hours following the award ceremony, something unprecedented unfolded. It wasn't just fan reactions or viral edits, though they surged by the millions. It was the quiet stirrings within the hearts of artists, many of whom had sat in that audience, clad in perfection, applauding on cue, their smiles camera-ready, but their minds perhaps spinning with a single word. Why? Why are we here? Why are we performing gratitude for trophies shaped by charts, not change? Why are we silent about the parts of this machine that grind down the very artist it rises up? Jungkook's departure from the stage wasn't just a physical exit, it was a metaphorical one. A gentle but irreversible walk away from the expectations that had long defined him, and in many ways shackled him. He didn't rage, he didn't cry dramatically, he didn't need to. The power of restraint, the weight of his pause before each word, said more than any elaborate stage production could. As dawn broke in Seoul the next morning, media houses scrambled for narratives. Some labeled him a visionary, others questioned his motive. A few dared to suggest he disrespected the awards, the organizers, even the fans. But none could deny this. No one was talking about the actual award winners. All anyone wanted to know was what Jungkook meant and why it mattered so much. In the days that followed, the ripple effects widened. A rookie idol, barely a year into her debut, posted a tearful video. "I've been afraid to write the kind of music I want, but last night I felt something shift. If Jungkook can step out of line, maybe I can too." An award committee member anonymously told a tabloid. He exposed what we've known privately for years, that too often the awards are designed to reflect industry politics, not artistry. And perhaps most profoundly, letters, yes, actual handwritten letters began appearing outside HYB's headquarters, from fans, from fellow artists, from students studying music who felt for the first time that their dream wasn't just about going viral, but about leaving impact. Jungkook's name was on every trending list, but not for the usual reasons. This wasn't about fashion or dating rumors or even musical output. It was about legacy, and the world couldn't stop asking what he had just begun. Speculation turned feverish when fans discovered that Jungkook had recently visited an orphanage anonymously and left behind a donation with a simple note, "For the unheard songs." That phrase alone sparked waves of discussion. Was it metaphor?
Was it a preview of an upcoming project, or was it the thesis of his current philosophy? Even BTS's official channels remained quiet, fueling rumors. Was this a coordinated comeback rollout in disguise? Was the group plotting something radical, perhaps a collaborative return centered not on domination, but disruption? And while the theories multiplied, one undeniable truth cemented itself across fan communities. Jungkook had for the first time made the entire industry look in the mirror, not out of vanity, but out of necessity. Meanwhile, international artists began to chime in. Taylor Swift reposted a clip from the awards on her Instagram story with the caption, "Courage, Art, Vision." The Weeknd tweeted, "Jungkook asked the right question. What do we win if nothing changes?" Even icons like Adele and Ed Sheeran reportedly reached out privately. Industry whispers say messages of admiration were sent, though their contents remain confidential. The echo reached beyond music. University lecture halls held spontaneous discussions. Sociology students analyzed his speech. Professors of cultural studies began writing papers on the phenomenon now dubbed the Jungkook paradigm. One headline from a major U.S. media outlet read, "A K-pop idol just became a philosopher on live TV." Did you catch it?
And yet, amidst this storm, Jungkook himself vanished again. No social media posts, no public appearance, not even a single quote to the press, only silence. The same silence that once followed his final line on stage. It was as though he had spoken only to disappear, to let the words linger and ferment in the minds of those who had listened. But that silence did something else, too. It allowed the world to speak back. Petitions began circulating, not fan petitions demanding merchandise or content, but campaigns asking award shows to open categories for social artistry, to acknowledge mental health advocacy, environmental activism, or mentorship. Producers began rethinking the nature of idol training, with some promising ethical frameworks and artist-led development tracks. And slowly, behind the headlines, something far more subtle began to grow. Trust. Trust that maybe idols weren't just manufactured beings, but living, thinking, feeling artists capable of challenging their own molds. Trust that fans could follow their stars not just up charts, but into deeper conversations. Trust that even in the commercial jungle that is K-pop, authenticity could still be currency, and perhaps the most powerful kind. And all of it began in a single instant. A moment without choreography, without confetti, without screaming fans. Just a young man, standing alone, asking a question that peeled back an entire culture. So now the world waits. Not for the next single, not for the next concert, but for what this act of quiet rebellion truly means. Because maybe the most important awards aren't handed out on live TV. Maybe they're earned in the hearts of those who choose to act differently because of something they saw, heard, or felt. And maybe, just maybe, Jungkook didn't want the spotlight that night. He wanted to pass it on. Do you feel it? The shift? The silence between applause? That's where the revolution begins. And this is only the prologue. 1 week passed, 7 days since Jungkook shattered the rhythm of the industry with a whisper instead of a roar. And yet the world had not moved on. Not because it couldn't,
but because it didn't want to. That single evening had transcended performance. It had become mythology. Journalists began calling it the night the spotlight split. Not in half, but in purpose. Before that moment, the spotlight was a singular beam, a measure of popularity, of commercial weight, of digital virality. After Jungkook, it became a prism. It could reflect not just fame, but meaning. It could illuminate not only who shined, but why they mattered. On the seventh night, social media exploded again. No warning, no teaser. Just a cryptic video posted to Jungkook's personal channel. No title. A black screen, then a flicker of light. A piano chord, minor, hollow. Then Jungkook's voice, barely above a breath. If the stage is a mirror, what have we been performing into? That was all. 14 words. No face, no music video, no logo. The internet stopped again. Theories erupted. Was this a spoken word album, a documentary, a protest piece? Some fans pointed out that the audio had layers. Deep in the background, slowed down beats that, when isolated and enhanced, resembled snippets from his unreleased demo tracks. It wasn't a message. It was a puzzle, and solving it became the mission of millions. Hours later, another clue emerged. The official Melon Awards channel released a behind-the-scenes clip from the ceremony. In it, Jungkook is seen pacing quietly backstage minutes before his now historic moment. A staff member tries to hand him a cue card. He smiles gently and says, "Thank you, but I brought my own words." Then he takes out a folded piece of paper from his pocket, slightly creased, and holds it with reverence. The clip cuts. But that sentence, "I brought my own words," flooded the digital realm. Artists everywhere began reposting those words. Students scribbled them on the covers of their journals. Young dancers painted them on the mirrors of their practice rooms. A Taiwanese graffiti artist recreated Jungkook's silhouette on the side of a building with the quote in fluorescent paint. The phrase had ignited a global wave of reclamation, not just of art, but of voice. Because somewhere in that speech, somewhere in his quiet refusal to play the game, Jungkook had reminded a generation that they were not born to follow a script. By the second week, the shock had settled into resolve. Music labels across Seoul began issuing cautious press statements, many carefully worded to show alignment with artist-centered values and renewed dedication to meaningful work. Some were genuine, others were PR damage control, but regardless, change had started. It was undeniable.
One label, smaller, independent, took it a step further. They launched a digital platform called Stage Zero, a space where emerging artists could post raw, unpolished performances, judged not by likes, but by storytelling, emotional authenticity, and community feedback. They credited Jungkook by name. Without him, their homepage read, "This wouldn't feel possible." And then came the leaks. One by one, anonymous insiders began leaking old contract terms of major K-pop companies. Harsh schedules, gag clauses, silence agreements regarding mental health. The public was horrified, but ready. For the first time, these weren't just stories whispered in fan forums. They were headlines. The world had new eyes. And still, amidst the chaos, Jungkook remained quiet. Until the 21st day.
Another video. This time, clearer. This time, visual. Jungkook sits in a sunlit room. No studio lights, no makeup. He wears a simple shirt, his hair loose, shadows under his eyes. He looks like a man who has wrestled with something bigger than fame. Then he speaks. Not like an idol, not like a celebrity, but like someone offering something sacred. I didn't plan to change anything. I only wanted to ask if we could feel again, if we could make art that hurts a little, that risks something, that matters. He smiles softly. Some people said I threw away a moment of glory, but I think I just gave it away. And maybe that's what made it mean something. He looks down, then up again. I'm working on something. It's not a comeback. It's not a campaign. It's a conversation. You're all invited. And this time, I won't be on stage alone. Fade to black. Cue one word on screen. Legacy. No date, no explanation. But now everyone was watching. Again, global media called it the most anticipated artistic project of the decade. Not because it was from a BTS member, not even because of the mystery, but because it felt real, raw, human, and revolutionary. The weeks that followed were filled with trembling anticipation. News agencies speculated, fans prepared. Academics published entire essays analyzing Jungkook's shift from idol to instigator. And then, on day 40, it happened. Not an album, not a tour, not a concert. An immersive, global digital gallery. Curated by Jungkook, featuring voices from around the world, spoken word from Kenyan activists, music from underground soul bands, testimonies from fans who survived depression, dancers who healed through movement, artists who were never given a stage, all given space to tell their truth. The only condition? Every piece had to start with a single prompt. What does legacy mean to you? And Jungkook? He was the final exhibit. Not with music, but with a poem. Projected on a wall of light. In his own handwriting. And that is how one moment, a quiet refusal under a spotlight, rewrote the future of K-pop. Not with rebellion, not with rage, but with the reminder that the most powerful stories aren't always shouted. Sometimes they're given away. One legacy at a time.